I'm Dr. Marty Matlock. The process that the Dairy Sustainability Framework developed for identifying candidate indicators for the global criteria are described here. The DSF model for continuous improvement starts with a common global vision with global categories of criteria, strategic intents, and then will ultimately result in enablers for improvement across the continuous improvement spectrum. Existing initiatives are prioritized for implementation and incorporation with performance milestones developed either from existing initiatives or globally developed across new initiatives. DSF enabler engagement really is a process of continuous improvement with plan, do, check, and adjust, with radiating activities including orientation, policy development, materiality initiatives, which is where we are in the process today. In this description, then improvement, planning, executing plans, reporting and communicating, and continuous improvement adjustments across the 11 sustainability criteria that DSF has developed with this multi-stakeholder engagement. This multi-stakeholder engagement has been critical to the legitimacy of the work. It incorporates the views of the farmers, conservation organizations, government organizations, as well as the dairy supply chain around the world. This is the most comprehensive global sustainability initiative currently implemented for continuous improvement. So the process is creating new ground and creating new frameworks and creating new methodologies as it goes. The 11 global criteria each have a strategic intent which define the criteria and also define what is good in terms of desirable outcomes for the criteria. For example, greenhouse gas emissions are quantified processes of greenhouse gas equivalent emissions and reduction of those through economically viable mechanisms. So the strategic intents are effectively goals for each of the criteria. This process is consistent with the ANSVASABE E629 framework, which is used by most agricultural producers in the United States and many producers around the world for other agricultural products, including row crops, specialty crops, and other animal agricultural products. The process includes defining, planning, and implementing a continuous improvement strategy, defining sustainability, defining indices, selecting measures for those indicators, which is precisely what DSF is doing now, planning how to improve those, and then implementing the plan. Then when measuring and assessing, and when the plan doesn't work, when things don't get better, go back and evaluate what you can do to make things better and do something different. This is all predicated on a common agreement about what is good, what is desired, what the priorities are across any given agricultural production sector. The global criteria strategic intents for each of the 11 global criteria in the Dairy Sustainability Framework represent aspirational goals for those global criteria. These are the things that the DSF community has decided are the most important things to start with, and have decided this is the direction these measurements should move. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, improving soil health, reducing negative impacts on workers, improving animal health. Those are directionally correct. Aspirational goals. Strategic goals are goals that have quantities and dates associated with them. Those are not part of the DSF approach. Those are reserved for the regional, local, maybe national organizations to define and implement. These are multi-stakeholder-led processes at both the aspirational and strategic level. So regional, local initiatives should also engage other interested and affected parties in defining strategic goals. Tactical and operational goals are very much enterprise-led because these are management goals. These are actually how to achieve the strategic goals, and those should be defined by the producers and their representatives. The goal is to never tell a farmer how to farm, but to help farmers make better decisions within their own production context, whether it's a dairy producer or the person who produces the feed for the dairy processor or producer, etc. So strategic, tactical, and operational goals are national, regional, enterprise sustainability initiatives. DSF ultimately is in the process of selecting measures for the indicators, and that is what this approach describes. Identifying the most important indicators to producers and their consumers is the desired outcome. Selected indicators must have that have established measurement methods are preferred, because this is hard to do. It hasn't been done before at a global level, so developing experience with assessment and reporting and creating a process that works for everybody is critically important, but it's difficult. So keeping it simple in this first iteration is key. The approach is to identify the measurable elements within each indicator. Each sector will identify what's already being measured, what can be measured, and what should be measured, whether it's across all the producer sectors or within individual sectors, and to prioritize one or more indicators for each criteria. The fewer the better, to make this simple. This approach is fairly intuitive. We start with a survey of what people are already doing. Then we score the survey results. We analyze the score. We take the highest scoring indicators and analyze their efficacy, or what's implementable and what's not across a set of 3 criteria, and then that gives us the candidate indicator. 49 metrics were addressed in the survey across soil nutrients, soil quality and retention, biodiversity, water availability and quality, and working conditions. Results were fairly broad. 7 key performance indicator metrics for soil nutrients, 5 for soil water, 10 for biodiversity, 15 for water quality and availability, and 12 for working conditions. So the survey was a standard Likert scoring survey approach online, and it was also available by paper if those who needed it. The results ran from March through July and were analyzed in August and reported to DSF's board in August. The results of the survey will be covered in a subsequent webinar and are available in the DSF Indicator Survey Results report at DSF's website. Thank you.